And welcome. You're watching Good Morning India. I'm Gargi Rao. Thanks so much for tuning in this Monday morning. Lots ahead. Protesters have stormed the Congress in Brazil, refusing to accept the defeat of former President Jair Bolsonaro.
That's right, and lots more happening in our country as well. Chilling temperatures and a dense fog in several parts of North India, as many of us must have witnessed. We'll get you all that and more in this bulletin. First, let's take a look at the headlines.
Extended cold wave and dense fog across the northwest India. Capital Delhi sees pollution surging to emergency levels.
Thousands of supporters of Brazil's far-right former President Jair Bolsonaro stormed the Congress in Brazil, refusing to accept his election defeat last October by his socialist rival Lula da Silva.
Prime Minister's office held a high-level meeting after hundreds of buildings in Uttarakhand's Joshimath developed cracks. 600 affected families evacuated from Uttarakhand's tourist and pilgrimage destination.
Tata Sons chairman N. Chandrasekaran says he's personally anguished over the Air India P-gate. The statement says that Air India's response should have been much swifter. It fell short of addressing the situation. And our lead story, if you're currently at home in your blankets, you're among the lucky ones, as there is severe cold wave in many parts of North India, and a dense fog also blanketed the national capital and other North Indian states as well. The IMD has issued a cold day and cold wave warning for Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan and Himachal Pradesh.
That's right, and the IMD has also reported a fog layer extending from Punjab, joining northwest Rajasthan to Bihar, across Haryana, Chandigarh, Delhi and Uttar Pradesh. There you can see visuals from parts of the national capital where visibility was really reduced because of the dense fog. Well, let's go across to Vedant for more. And Vedant, earlier we thought we'll have some relief today, but it seems the cold wave has extended.
That's right, Gargi. In fact, yesterday the IMD had predicted that cold wave conditions will abate from today. But now, contrary to its earlier forecast, it says that cold wave conditions are likely to persist till tomorrow midnight. That's what the latest forecast is. In fact, a thick layer of fog, as Priyanshi rightly mentioned, blanketed the national capital. In fact, yesterday in the intervening night, between Sunday and Monday, the visibility was reduced to 200 meters for over 10 hours. So that is particularly concerning. And of course, trains and flights have been impacted. In fact, over 30 trains, nearly 35 trains are running late. Several trains have been cancelled, delayed. So nearly 40 trains are, affected due to the cold wave and cold day conditions that continue to persist in the national capital. In fact, yesterday, the main station in the national capital, the Safdarjung station, recorded a minimum temperature of 1.9 degrees Celsius, which is, the coldest and the lowest minimum temperature, in fact, in 2 years. So, of course, dense to very dense fog in parts of the national capital and across North India, really, as you mentioned, persists. In fact, another bad impact of, the cold wave has been on the air quality. The air quality has slipped into the severe category. It has been in the severe category, in fact, for the past 4 days. And currently, the average air quality here in the national capital is around 400, which is the severe category. And in several parts of the national capital, it is in the upper layer of the severe category. So almost 455 to 460 in Anand Vihar, DTU, even ITO. So of course, air quality really spiking to emergency levels. In fact, the cancer-causing PM 2.5 pollutant is also almost 80 to 90 times the WHO's safe limit. So of course, today another important thing to mention is that there's a yellow category alert, and private schools have been asked to remain closed till 15th of January, and government schools for classes 9 to 12 are also shut down.
Right. And Vedant, we were talking about the pollution in the national capital. Of course, in Delhi, what we see is smog. The fog really gets combined with the pollution, and that's why we see even lower visibility. How low was the visibility across the national capital today? We are seeing that on the highways, you couldn't even see the vehicles right next to you.
In fact, can't even see behind Vedant right now.
That's right, Priyanshi. In fact, from midnight yesterday to around 7 a.m. this morning, the visibility was reduced to 200 meters, and it's very rare that the visibility remained reduced for over 10 hours. So of course that was concerning, and in fact, low visibility procedures were also initiated at the Indira Gandhi International Airport in Delhi as well. In fact, over 40 flights were affected. 2 Delhi-bound flights were also diverted. However, no changes had to be made to the takeoffs and landings. So that was the good part. But nearly 40 flights were affected because of low visibility. And at around 12 a.m., the low visibility procedures were initiated at the airport, and they continued till about 3:30 a.m. So of course, flights and trains affected. So in fact, the IGI airport has also issued an advisory that to get updated info, they must contact the airport authorities, and also passengers traveling via rail must also keep checking the IRCTC website, because trains are late almost by 8 to 10 hours. In fact, trains coming from Patna, other parts of Bihar, Darbhanga, also Lucknow, they are late almost by 7 to 8 hours. So the Lucknow mail is supposed to come at 7, but now it, as per the IRCTC website, it will arrive at around 12 noon. So trains and flights majorly affected, and cold wave and cold day conditions continue to persist.
All right. Thanks so much, Vedant, for joining us with those details. And with the cold wave extending, do spare a thought for those living on the street. Many who are braving this cold weather right now, and do donate blankets to help keep them warm.
There are 60,000 blankets needed, and you can donate them to save a life. NDTV has collaborated with the Uday Foundation, and you can donate a blanket or to the Uday Foundation. The details on your screen currently. More details are also available on ndtv.com/blankets.
Now, the big international story, hundreds of supporters of Brazil's far-right ex-president Jair Bolsonaro broke through police barricades and stormed into the Congress, the presidential palace and the Supreme Court on Sunday in what the president, Lula da Silva, condemned as a fascist attack.
Now, Gargi, it's really similar to what we saw in the United States in the Capitol Hill attack in 2021.
And so close to the anniversary. So that was 6th Jan and now this.
Right. And it's very strangely similar to that incident. That was by Trump supporters. And in this case, too, the protesters refused to accept Jair Bolsonaro's election defeat last October by his socialist rival, Lula da Silva. Now, Bolsonaro responded to the raids by condemning the pillaging and invasions at the National Congress and the presidential palace as well. In fact, the UN chief has also tweeted on this, saying that I condemn today's assault on Brazil's democratic institutions. The will of the Brazilian people and the country's institutions must be respected. I am confident that it will be so. Brazil is a great democratic country.
That's right, though the situation now seems under control, though footage showed that rioters breaking doors and windows to enter the Congress building, streaming inside, trashing lawmakers' offices, very similar to what we saw in Washington that time when Trump supporters had too come to the Congress. The police who established a security cordon around the 3-Power Square home of the classic modernist buildings of the National Congress then fired tear gas and have brought the situation under control. Well, let's now focus on the sinking town in Uttarakhand, Joshimath, and the Prime Minister's office yesterday held a high-level meeting after hundreds of buildings in Joshimath developed cracks due to shifting soil, prompting authorities to move hundreds of people from their homes in the area popular with pilgrims and tourists.
Now, sources told NDTV that central agencies are assisting the Uttarakhand government to prepare plans and rescue teams. Those are also on standby. Now, officials say that the experts are preparing a short, medium and long-term plan to deal with the crisis at hand. The centre said that the state government should establish a clear and continuous communication channel with the affected people. Immediate efforts should be made to arrest the deterioration in the situation through practical measures that may be feasible, and an interdisciplinary investigation of the affected area should also be undertaken. That's what the Prime Minister's office said after that high-level meeting.
Well, Well, news now from Karnataka and eyeing a comeback in the 2023 elections. The opposition in Karnataka, that's the Congress, has once again launched an aggressive attack against the Bommai-led BJP government, and this time for the rejection of the state's tableau at the Centre for the Republic Day Parade.
Now, nearly after 13 consecutive years of displaying the state's culture on the Kartavya Path in the national capital, Karnataka has lost its chance to be a part of the Republic Day Parade. Leader of the opposition, Siddaramaiah, slammed Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai and the BJP government that it is busy in the 40% corruption scandal and it's losing out these opportunities. He said it's unfortunate to know that Karnataka will not be participating in the Republic Day Parade this year. The rejection of Karnataka's tableau reflects how serious the BJP is about upholding the pride of our state.
13 ವರ್ಷ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕಕ್ಕೆ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದೆ. ಪ್ರತಿ ವರ್ಷ ಎಲ್ಲ ರಾಜ್ಯಗಳಿಗೂ ಸಿಗಲೇಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ 36 ಇಡಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ. 36 ಸ್ತಬ್ಧ ಇಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಈಗೇನು 1.5 ಗಂಟೆ ನಡೀತದೆ, ಅದು 4 ಗಂಟೆ ನಡಿಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ, 3.5-4 ಗಂಟೆ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಸಿಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಇಂಟರ್ಫಿಯರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಈವನ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ದು ಇಂಟರ್ಫಿಯರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದನ್ನು ವಿವಾದ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಇದು ಸರಿಯಲ್ಲ. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಹಿತವನ್ನು ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಇತ್ತೀಚೆಗೆ ಕಳಸಾ ಬಂಡೂರಿಯು ಸೇರಿದಂತೆ
the central government, the BJP government believes in single government, single tableau. They don't believe in varieties and pluralism. That is the main reason they have rejected the tableau of Karnataka. That is very seriously condemnable, and any state for that matter, even if it is a BJP ruled state, non-BJP states, the representation has to be given in the Republic Day and Independence Day parade. If that is not given, this government doesn't believe in pluralism. That is the main problem.
For Karnataka after 13 years.
Yes, it is happening to Karnataka, and we are all against this. We condemn the action of the central government.
Now, moving on, the local leaders in Ladakh have refused to join the central government's high-powered committee to address the grievances of the region. Now, protests have been building up in Leh Ladakh as the Union Territory wants statehood.
That's right, and they now insist that they will only join the committee when they have some assurance on their basic demands. NDTV's Nazir Masoodi gets us this report.
A setback for the centre in its efforts to end protests in Ladakh for statehood and special status under the 6th schedule. Ladakhi leaders have refused to be part of a high-powered committee headed by Nityanand Rai, Minister of State for Home Affairs, unless their demands are met. The agenda of the panel was to protect jobs, land and identity of the Ladakhi people. But leaders spearheading the protests say it is all an eyewash.
अगर वो जॉब और लैंड की प्रोटेक्शन की बात करता है तो किस एक्ट और किस शेड्यूल के तहत दे रहा है, वो कहीं मेंशन नहीं है. तो इसलिए ये हमें लगता है कि हमें बेवकूफ़ बनाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. हम समझते हैं कि ये हम 6 शेड्यूल के हमारे डिमांड और स्टेटहुड के डिमांड के खिलाफ है. अब आज के हालात में तो हम कह सकते हैं कि इससे तो पहला वाला ज़्यादा बेटर था.
For over a year, leaders of Buddhist-dominated Leh and Muslim-dominated Kargil have formed an alliance and started protests for statehood and special status. The centre and the BJP had said carving out Ladakh as a separate union territory would bring development and end discrimination. 3 years on, Ladakhi leaders say they actually have less power in a union territory.
बात वही है कि हम जो है आगे अपना एहतजाज जारी रखेंगे. हम चाहते हैं कि डेमोक्रेसी को एक रियल फॉर्म में, रियल सेंस में लद्दाख के लोगों को डेमोक्रेटिक राइट्स मिलने चाहिए जो सल्ब किए गए हैं. हमें गिलगित बल्तिस्तान की तरह ट्रीट नहीं किया जाना चाहिए.
We were better off in erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir than our present situation under Union Territory administration. This is what Ladakhi leaders had to say after they refused to be part of Centre's high-powered committee on Ladakh. The hardened stand on statehood and 6th schedule by the leaders from Ladakh is a challenge for the central government amid protracted military standoff along the line of actual control. In Jammu, Nazir Masoodi, 5 TV.
With that, time for us to slip into a short break.
But coming up next, cricketer Surya Kumar Yadav reveals his game strategy in an interview with coach Rahul Dravid. Stay tuned for that and more.
Welcome back. A veteran car racer, 59-year-old K.E. Kumar, died in a crash at the MRF MMSC FMSCI Indian Car Racing Championship at the Madras International Circuit outside of Chennai.
Now, replaying images from the event's live streaming really show that the car skirted off the track and toppled after coming in contact with another car during the car racing. As you can see in those visuals on your screen, the car skirting off there. And the investigation in this accident is currently underway. The police, meanwhile, have registered a case of causing death due to negligence. Now, news about what most of us felt this morning, the extremely cold temperatures out there. There's a severe cold wave condition that's prevailing in northwest India, according to the Met Office. There's a cold day and cold wave warning for Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan and Himachal Pradesh. Temperatures dipping to even below 2 degrees Celsius, Gargi.
That's right, and this cold wave is going to continue to prevail. Earlier, there was the IMD had predicted that there would be relief today. The IMD has also reported a fog layer extending from Punjab and adjoining northwest Rajasthan to Bihar across Haryana, Chandigarh and Delhi and Uttar Pradesh. We'll just show you that satellite picture as well. And due to the fog, as expected, according to the railways data, 29 trains have been delayed by at least 2 hours. The movement of about 40 flights has also been affected. It's learned. So, of course, if you're traveling today and even if you're driving, do take care. Do check on your train or a plane in case of any delay. Earlier, we spoke to Vedant for more details.
In fact, yesterday, the IMD had predicted that cold wave conditions will abate from today. But now, contrary to its earlier forecast, it says that cold wave conditions are likely to persist till tomorrow midnight. That's what the latest forecast is. In fact, thick layer of fog, as Priyanshi rightly mentioned, blanketed the national capital. In fact, yesterday in the intervening night, between Sunday and Monday, the visibility was reduced to 200 meters for over 10 hours. So that is particularly concerning. And of course, trains and flights have been impacted. In fact, over 30 trains, nearly 35 trains are running late. Several trains have been cancelled, delayed. So nearly 40 trains are, affected due to the cold wave and cold day conditions that continue to persist in the national capital. In fact, yesterday, the main station in the national capital, the Safdarjung station, recorded a minimum temperature of 1.9 degrees Celsius, which is, the coldest and the lowest minimum temperature, in fact, in 2 years. So, of course, dense to very dense fog in parts of the national capital and across North India, really, as you mentioned, persists. In fact, another bad impact of, the cold wave has been on the air quality. Now, the air quality has slipped into the severe category. It has been in the severe category, in fact, for the past 4 days. And currently, the average air quality here in the national capital is around 400, which is the severe category. And in several parts of the national capital, it is in the upper layer of the severe category. So almost 455 to 460 in Anand Vihar, DTU, even ITO. So of course, air quality really spiking to emergency levels. In fact, the cancer-causing PM 2.5 pollutant is also almost 80 to 90 times the WHO's safe limit. So of course, today another important thing to mention is that there's a yellow category alert, and private schools have been asked to remain closed till 15th of January, and government schools for classes 9 to 12 are also shut down.
All right, now the big international story, and hundreds of supporters of Brazil's far-right ex-president Jair Bolsonaro broke through the police barricade, stormed into Congress and the presidential palace as well as the Supreme Court on Sunday in what the president Lula da Silva condemned as a fascist attack.
Now, Gargi, the visuals really remind us of the Capitol Hill attack in the United States that happened on January 6th, just 2 years ago by Trump supporters. And in this case as well, the protesters refused to accept Jair Bolsonaro's election defeat last October against his socialist rival Lula da Silva. Bolsonaro responded to the raids by condemning the invasions at the National Congress and the presidential palace as well. In fact, the UN chief has also tweeted out saying that I condemn today's assault on Brazil's democratic institutions. The will of the Brazilian people and the country's institutions must be respected. I'm confident that it will be so. Brazil is a great democratic country. So world leaders condemning this attack.
Right,
on
and interestingly,
the US Congress.
Bolsonaro is not in the country at the time. He's in the US. Let's just listen in to what Lula da Silva had to say.
E eu queria dizer para vocês que todas essas pessoas que fizeram isso serão encontradas e serão punidas. Eles vão perceber que a democracia, ela garante o direito de liberdade, ela garante o direito de livre comunicação, de livre expressão, mas ela também exige que as pessoas respeitem as instituições que foram criadas para fortalecer a democracia.
All right, in other news now, the 5 men who were arrested for that horrific accident and hit and run, dragging and killing a young Delhi woman in the early hours of New Year, today admitted that they knew that woman was stuck under the car the whole time.
That's right. During questioning, the accused told the police that they did not stop the car out of fear. Remember, 5 men were arrested on January 1st, hours after Anjali Singh, a 20-year-old, was hit by the car and dragged for close to 13 kilometers. The police are still looking for the 7th suspect, Ankush, who's accused of helping in the cover-up. But it's really shocking, Gargi, that the accused knew the woman was being dragged under their car, but they still kept on driving.
They were apparently drunk. They were allegedly drunk and told the police that they came to realize that the woman was caught under the car, and more horrific, they kept driving around the same area, taking multiple U-turns to shake off the body. Now, in other news, the Prime Minister's office held a high-level meeting yesterday after hundreds of buildings in Uttarakhand's Joshimath developed cracks due to shifting soil, prompting authorities to move hundreds of people from their homes in the area popular with pilgrims and tourists.
Now, sources told NDTV that the central agencies are assisting the Uttarakhand government to prepare plans, and rescue teams are also on standby. Officials say that the experts are preparing a short, medium and long-term plan to deal with the crisis at hand, and multiple decisions were arrived at in that meeting as well.
Right, and the centre has said that the state government should establish a clear and continuous communication channel with the affected people. Remember, the people there claimed they had written letters to the Chief Minister which were not answered earlier. Immediate efforts should be made to arrest the deterioration in the situation through practical measures, and an interdisciplinary investigation of the affected area should be undertaken. Also, all projects in the area like the hydro project as well as the road widening project have all been halted for the moment. NDTV's Tanushree Pandey was there in Joshimath and spoke to some of the affected families.
मैं जोशीमठी में रहती हूँ और इतना घर हम अपने आंख सामने टूटते हुए देख रहे हैं, और हम खुद जानते हैं कि हम इस हालत में अभी क्या हैं। आप देखिए, पूरा घर हर तरीके से बिखर रहा है और हम हर जगह ऐसी देख रहे हैं, हर कोई आ रहा है, देख रहा है और चले जा रहे हैं। भले उन्होंने किया है हमारी व्यवस्था, पानी हमें ऐसी हालतों में देखा है तो स्कूल में शिफ्ट तो किया है, पर लेकिन हमारी मांग यही रहेगी कि जल्द से जल्द हमें अपनी छत दें और हम वहाँ सुरक्षित रह सकें।
मुझे एक बात बताइए लक्ष्मी जी कि आपने आपके घर पे कितने लोग हैं?
यहाँ पे मेरे देवर का घर है ये, और यहाँ पे मेरे देवर का घर है। ये लोग भी उधर स्कूल में शिफ्ट हो रखे हैं। और आगे
परिवार में कितने लोग हैं?
हमारे ये यहाँ पे 2 परिवार इनके हैं। यहाँ पे मेरे देवर लोग 2 यहाँ हैं, और मेरे जेठानी लोग हैं 3 परिवार यहाँ पे हम लोग हैं। यही है यहाँ पे
तो आप लोगों ने अपना पूरा पैसा जो जमा पूंजी होगी उसको लगा के
सब मकानों पे लगा रखा है मैम। यहाँ पे हम अपना जोशीमठ में ये है कि अपना गाय भैंस को धंधा करते हैं और खेती बाड़ी का काम है, पूरा जमीन चली गई है, मकान चले गए हैं, हम रोड पे हैं, ऊपर हो गए हैं, जितने भी कमाना था धमाना था सब इन मकानों पे लगा दिए है। तो अभी हम क्या कर सकते हैं अब इन चीजों के लिए? हम तो खुद ही दुखी हो रखे हैं। और कल हम देखते देखते हमारा सामने हमारा मंदिर टूटा जा रहा है और हर दिन यही देख रहे हैं कि इसमें इतनी पूजा करी, इतनी आराधना रखी हमने, ऐसे वो हमारे सामने गिर गया है। तो हमें कल से ना खड़े होने की भी हिम्मत नहीं पड़ी है। बहुत मन से हमने अपना मंदिर को सजाया था, वहां पे वो मंदिर भी डूब गया है। ऐसे हमें यहाँ पे बिल्कुल भी अच्छा नहीं लगता है, पूरा परिवार बिखर गया है यहाँ पे।
आपने मुझे एक और चीज बोली, और ना ही सिर्फ जो इंसान है उसको तकलीफ हो रही है, पर चाहे वो आप लोगों ने जो गाय थी चाहे कुत्ते हो,
अब सुनो, हमारे शिफ्ट तो किया जा रहा है, मानती हूँ, हमें तो बोल रहे भाई वहां जाओ यहाँ जाओ, हमारे पास गाय है, ये कुत्ते हैं, इनकी शिफ्ट कहाँ होगी ऐसी? इनके लिए कहाँ है?
The situation on the ground is so messy that there are in our house one part of our house is having messy cracks, and we are so scared about going inside of our house because there are messy cracks and we don't know if it will break, what will do, and where will go.
Right. So, you know, it is so cold and you have been out on the streets with your family. Has the government given your family any kind of help as of now?
No, they have not given us any kind of help up till now. But now, if they will give, so it's good.
Today the Chief Minister came, they spoke to your family. What did the Chief Minister Pushkar Dhami said?
He said that keep yourself safe and we will do something to help you. They said that keep you be with your families, don't go anywhere else, and every time you be with your family. लेकिन अभी सरकार ने रोक लगा दी है तो शायद कुछ हो सके, शायद ये क्रैकिंग वगैरह बंद हो सके.
All right, now returning to developments in the hit-and-run case in Delhi, and the 5 men arrested for dragging and killing a young Delhi woman in the early hours of New Year have now admitted that they knew the woman was stuck under the car.
That's what the police sources are now telling us, that during questioning, the accused told the police that they did not stop the car out of fear. Mukesh now joining us for more details on this. Mukesh, क्या पुलिस इस पर कह रही है? क्वेश्चनिंग में क्या सब पता चला है? अक्यूज ने कहा है कि उन्हें पता था कि बॉडी उनकी गाड़ी के नीचे अटकी हुई थी, तब भी उन्होंने आगे चलाना कंटिन्यू किया.
देखिए, बिल्कुल ये हम पहले भी रिपोर्ट कर चुके हैं कि जब ये एक्सीडेंट हुआ तो एक्सीडेंट के 2.5 किलोमीटर बाद ही जो आरोपी हैं उनको ये मालूम चल गया था कि अंजलि जो है वो गाड़ी के नीचे फंसी हुई है, क्योंकि जो लोग कार में बैठे हुए थे उनमें से एक आरोपी ने जब नीचे झांक कर देखा तो अंजलि का हाथ उसको दिखाई दिया था. लेकिन अब आरोपियों ने अपने बयान में कहा है कि घटना के बाद उनको ये मालूम चल गया था कि अंजलि फंसी हुई है, लेकिन जो अमित जो कार ड्राइव कर रहा था, अमित के पास ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस नहीं था. ऐसे में अमित को लगा कि अगर वो गाड़ी खड़ी करके अंजलि के शव को नीचे से निकालेगा तो उस पर मर्डर का केस दर्ज हो जाएगा और उसको फांसी हो जाएगी. इसीलिए ये लोग गाड़ी को आगे लेकर भागते रहे और इन्होंने अंजलि के शव को गिराने के लिए रास्ते में कई बार यू टर्न लिया, लेकिन अंजलि का शव नहीं गिरा. इसके बाद ये आगे भागते रहे और कंझावला के पास जो जॉन्टी विलेज है वहां पर ये पहुंचे. वो बिल्कुल सुनसान सा इलाका है और वहां पर जो आसपास खेत हैं वहां पर इन्होंने एक बार फिर करीब 4:15 बजे यू टर्न लिया और उसी दौरान अंजलि का शव कार से छिटक कर नीचे गिर गया. उसके बाद ये लोग भाग आए और आरोपी आशुतोष के यहाँ पहुंचे, जहां पर इन्होंने गाड़ी खड़ी की और फिर ऑटो में बैठकर ये लोग अपने अपने घर चले गए. तो पुलिस के मुताबिक आरोपी ये भी झूठ बोल रहे हैं कि कार में तेज म्यूजिक चल रहा था. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं था, म्यूजिक कार में तेज नहीं चल रहा था और आरोपियों को मालूम चल गया था कि अंजलि का शव गाड़ी के नीचे फंसा हुआ है. लेकिन उसके बाद भी ये भागते रहे क्योंकि उनको इस बात का डर था कि पुलिस कहीं इन पर हत्या का केस दर्ज ना कर ले. जी.
All right, so more details emerging of that horrific hit-and-run case. Thank you so much, Mukesh, for joining us with that. And the men were aware of the body being stuck under the car, yet they continued driving and taking those U-turns.
And I just plagued it, and then I went to sleep. When I woke up to him falling next to me, and I thought he lost his balance because it was a turbulent flight. I go, and then I see this horrific incidents. I see this lady with wet dress. I thought she had spilled a drink or anything. We tried, and she was very quiet, and she's a very dignified lady. She didn't shout, she didn't yell, and part of the reason why the entire aircraft was not aware of what was going on was, she was in a state of shock, and she didn't know what to do. Sarab, at the end of the day, it was not a happy story for anyone. I don't feel proud being an Indian to narrate it. You have a 70 plus lady whose dignity is being played on. You have, if you see the victim side, he's a young guy, lost his job. His family is going through hell. Tata Sons invested millions to give a facelift to Air India, and it doesn't help when things like this happen.
Absolutely. But perhaps, some lessons have to be learned from this, right? So first let me ask you, you said that you observed that he was incoherent and he had drunk in front of you 4 shots or servings of whiskey. You said you then flagged this with an Air India staff. What was the response you got, sir?
He just smiled. He thought, he didn't take it seriously. I said, because I fly enough to know, when a passenger, how a passenger behaves or not. I just said, keep an eye, and I hope he would be more diligent in his job.
So but you're saying they didn't take your observation seriously. After that, did he ask for more liquor to be served, and was he served this?
I don't know, but I'm sure he must have had at least one more, because okay. I saw a glass. I saw a glass in between us.
So from what you remember, even though you had flagged this, he was not denied or told that, perhaps it's been enough or whatever. And then when this incident took place, after, the other horrifying fact here is that this lady has in her complaint said very clearly that she did not want to talk to this man after what happened to her, but it seems as if that the crew made them both sit face to face and they had to reach an understanding. She basically felt forced into reaching an understanding with the other passenger. Is that what you observed, sir?
Yes. And Sarah, when I saw that happening, I kind of recused myself. And I said, as my moral stance, I'm going to do a written complaint. Whatever they are doing, let them do. Because I didn't like the fact that they made them sit across each other, because you cannot, when incidents like this happens, I think a previous guest said the norm is you don't bring the aggressor and the victim face to face. You put them apart. And that was happening. And I was the one advocating to give her a fresh seat. And they won't budge. I said, "Aapka 4 seat khali hai, ma'am, first mein. Aap de dijiye, business khali nahi hai." But for 20 minutes, first 15-20 minutes, she was sitting in the galley. And then they sprayed, they put multiple blankets on the same seat and then made her sit there. And only after maybe 2 hours, they gave her a fresh seat.
Did you speak with her directly, sir?
Yes, I spoke to her in detail. I shared my coordinates, and in fact, the next day, her daughter called me and she said, "We are going to write to the chairman of Tata. We are very angry," and she did thank me for standing up for her mother. And I did share the 2-page written complaint that I have given to the staff, which went nowhere. I don't think they even submitted it. But fortunately, I had taken a photo of the 2 pages that I had submitted. Again, it is all work avoidance. See, typically they should have reported it to the authorities, but they were already doing a flight after a 2-night layover in New York. It was a 15-hour flight, and as one of your guests earlier rightly said, and they just said, "Oh, we'll report it to the authority. It will be another 2 or 3 hour ordeal at the airport. Let's go home."
You felt it was inconvenient. According to you, you believe that perhaps it was just inconvenient for them and they wanted to wind up their shift. But so, your understanding, did they take this matter seriously? The fact that
Well,
somebody
if they have taken the matter seriously, they should have reported an indecent exposure, which is a crime under IPC. You know,
but even on the
captain
plane
should
to
have
tell a
been
passenger that she has to go ahead and sit in a seat that has been soiled?
That shows lack of compassion, nothing else. Okay. She could be your mom, she could be my mom, she could be the pilot's mom, she could be anybody's mom. And at the, you know, this is crisis management. And in crisis management, at times you ask permission, at times you do, and you say, I'm sorry, I had to do it. So that if you don't have accountability, you cannot take that judgment call.
All of the crew in this business class would have been senior crew, so they're not very young or fresh and should not have any issues with being able to take a call. Lastly, sir, when she was being made to sit and have this, work out this agreement, you could see this, you could hear this, you could see that she was visibly distressed when she was forced to reach an agreement with the accused here, the man who had urinated on her?
Well, Shankar Mishra came back and he was holding a bag with her wet clothes. He said, "मैंने उनसे बात कर लिया है. I'm going to dry clean and send it back to her, and then I'm going to compensate her with some money." And when he said that, I was disgusted with the whole thing. And if you let me, I have the letter in front of me. I'll just write the last sentence what I wrote. I just said, I personally am bothered by the fact that the captain waited close to 2 hours before allotting her a fresh seat. The non-pilot crew went above and beyond to the call of duty to clean her, but when you have 4 first-class seats vacant, you don't make a distressed passenger go back to her seat with human remains and wait for a crew seat to be vacant. This is, in caps I wrote, poor judgment call by the captain, period.
Poor judgment call by the captain. Thank you so much, Dr. Bhattacharjee, for speaking with us and sharing your experience.
And Sarah, I'll just take 30 seconds of your time. You know, the victim, in fact, in his WhatsApp status in one of the wrote a couple of days back that mistakes doesn't define us, it refines us. And I hope, it's a learning experience, and, we move on. And I come and
yes, I hope we can all learn from this. Each and every one of us, when we fly abroad, how to behave, not just abroad, fly on any flight, how to behave with our co-passengers and how to behave with crew and staff.
Because the Indian professionals, the Indian people in general are very highly regarded. Our workforce is very highly regarded globally. And it does not bring a good name to us when we are in a trajectory of being such a great nation.
It certainly hasn't reflected. It certainly has reflected quite poorly on India this whole week. Not just this Air India incident, but other incidents of unruly behavior in the skies. Thank you, Dr. Bhattacharjee.
Thank you.